Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us on another episode 3 right now. We appreciate all the love, all the support you guys have done. The videos have over 200 likes, 200 views so far. So that's big. That's good. We're growing slowly. So this is another episode of The Pathway brought to you by the Martin Orkuma Foundation. With me here is the lovely Dr. Emmy Maurilus. Hi, Emmy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
Okay, so Annie is an assistant professor with Nova Southeastern University. She's also the program administrator of the behavioral analysis program at Nova. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Annie.
Oh, wow. Thank you for such a lovely
Okay.
introduction. My name is Dr. Emmy Maurilus. I am a board certified behavior analyst, and I specialize in the application of behavior analysis to education. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more
Okay, yeah.
during this chat. But I currently serve as lead faculty for the Applied Behavior Analysis graduate concentrations at Nova Southeastern University. I also consult at a behavioral clinic in Hollywood. And I also have my own private practice. But
Okay.
besides that, I am the mother to a lovely Bernese mountain dog
Okay.
named
Okay.
Ivy.
Okay, that's great, Emmy. So tell us about your education. What got you into behavior analysis?
Oh, wow. It's quite a journey. I
Okay.
actually, at first, I always wanted to teach. That's always been a
Okay.
passion of mine. At some point, I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I was a chemistry major
Okay.
during undergrad. I was a chemistry major, and eventually, I was actually an undergraduate student at Nova Southeastern, where I majored in psychology. And as part of one of my minor courses, I took a class in behavior modification. And Dr. Michael Voltaire, who's still a professor there, actually, he introduced me to the world of behavior analysis.
Okay.
That's where I met a local company that was looking for behavior therapists. And at that point, I knew that I loved psychology. I took the behavior modification class because I somewhat remembered taking AP Psych in high school. And at that time, I was working as a bridal consultant. And I said, well,
Okay.
hey, if I'm going to get this degree in psychology, it might be
Yeah.
beneficial to actually get some experience. And so I started working for this company as a behavior therapist, and the rest is history. There I met this amazing clinical director who introduced me to Columbia's program, and I went to Columbia and
Okay.
specialized
Okay.
in the application of behavior analysis to education. And now, full circle, I'm back at NSU.
Okay, awesome. So you've mentioned behavior analysis over and over again. So to the layman or laywoman out there, what is behavior analysis?
So behavior analysis, it's a science in which the principles of behavior are used or applied to increase socially significant behavior while
Okay,
decreasing challenging behavior. So I have worked with individuals with developmental disabilities, those who have ADHD, ODD, things of that nature, as well as typically developing students, essentially using the principles of behavior to increase learning, in some
okay,
cases to decrease challenging behavior, and that ranges anywhere from self-injurious behavior to aggressive behavior. So I'm talking biting, kicking, spitting, things of that nature. I certainly have my battle wounds, but there is
okay, okay,
nothing more
okay.
rewarding than watching an individual, literally watching them change right before your eyes, simply because of these tweaks and using that science to bring about that socially significant behavior. So in a nutshell, in
Oh,
practice,
yeah.
that is behavior analysis.
Okay, that's awesome. So what would you recommend to a parent whose child, let's say, 10 years, 11 years old, is exhibiting challenging behavior at home? What would you recommend?
That's actually a really good question. I always tell my students, one, behavior analysis exists and belongs everywhere that behavior is.
Okay.
And that's
Wow.
everywhere. That's
Yeah.
everywhere, right? So it
Yeah.
has its applications everywhere. I actually challenge them to ask me, hey, how does behavior analysis fit in here, in this setting, in this career? And
Okay.
it's
Okay.
actually it's been a great experience. But for those who are interested in working with behavior therapy has been used or is used a lot with individuals with autism spectrum disorder. It's considered the gold standard treatment.
Okay.
And some people use it outside of that as well. But for those who are within that or using that ABA with that population, I always tell them it's a lot more difficult once your high fives are no longer reinforcing, right? Once you
Yeah,
get a
yeah, to get
little,
older. Hmm.
once they get a little older, all of a
Yeah,
sudden they don't really care about you. You smiling or you saying great job is no longer
yeah,
actually
yeah.
reinforcing, right? So I've had some experience with middle schoolers where I really had to challenge myself to figure out, okay, how do I reinforce this behavior? What do
Hmm.
I do? And it kind of had me thinking outside of the box. So sometimes it was me playing basketball or them earning an extra period of free time. Sometimes they just
Okay.
didn't want me in their face, which is okay because we're looking at that behavior in particular. So when we're talking about the home environment, I would one caution parents or actually bring to the parents' attention, well, how much positive attention are you actually giving that individual, right? I think
Yeah.
especially within the pandemic, parents have been wearing several hats, right?
True.
And
True.
we might not actually be attending to how much positive attention we're giving said child. And so sometimes the only way to get any type of attention from a parent is to display that challenging behavior, right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah, that's a
like
good point. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
when you're talking about a squeaky wheel, right? So if the child is
Hmm.
sitting there pretty well behaved, you can kind of go about your day, right? And do
Yeah.
all the million things that you have to do. But once that child becomes disruptive, it becomes, Jackie, stop. Jackie, what are you doing? Jackie, don't do that. And attention is attention, whether it's positive or negative. If that individual is seeking attention, you're actually functioning to increase their behavior. So
Hmm.
what I say, or what I always tell students, is to catch them being good. Bring attention to
Okay.
the
Okay.
positive things, right?
Yeah.
Set some clear expectations, right? Even if it's a schedule of their day at that age, it might not be, you might not have to create um, opportunities and activities and things for that individual,
Hmm.
but even helping them structure their day, right? Calling
Okay.
attention towards the things that they're doing correctly, spending time with them outside of what is considered normal time or regular time, if that
Yeah.
makes and figuring out what they actually enjoy. I actually serve as a youth leader outside of my behavior analysis practice, and
Okay. Okay.
they certainly challenge me every day because they are at that age where I'm not cool anymore.
So
Um,
what is the age range? You said youth. What is the age range for them?
13. My youngest is
Okay.
13. Yes, my
Pretty young. Yeah.
oldest is 19, and the
Okay.
19s they're pretty much disowning me at this point. But they've definitely stretched me. So I have learned the world of TikTok through them,
Okay.
and just
Yeah.
keeping up to date on the things that they do, right?
Okay.
But it's because at the end of the day, right, you want to form these relationships, build these relationships, right? And if you're trying
That
to
is very
promote
true.
positive behavior, then you want to encourage or reinforce that positive behavior when you actually see it.
Okay. So how much awareness do you think we as a community, like the local South Florida community, how much awareness of behavior analysis do you think the community knows in general?
Well, now with the rise of autism, it's certainly
Yeah.
more known now than it has
Okay.
been in years past, especially with insurance companies covering the cost for services as well. But I will say, even within, and I can speak for the Haitian community myself, it isn't. And that's partially because it's considered taboo, right? Or we have, even outside of the Haitian community, I have
Yeah.
been in the hair salon and people find out what I do and they're like, oh, well, the pediatrician told me Johnny is having a difficult time and maybe I might want to look into services, but Johnny's going to be fine. Johnny's going to catch right up. And
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, there is, every second counts. Early intervention is crucial.
Mm.
And I try and put myself in these parents' positions, and I get it because understanding that, hey, my child might need some additional help, it kind of takes a bit of getting used to. You have to be open to that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would rather go through speaking to that parent, giving them the resources they need, pushing them to get those resources, than having to speak to them 5 years down the line where your child has lost 5 years of services.
Hmm.
So as difficult as it is to get that buy-in, or as I've
Yeah.
had the experience of getting the buy-in from the Haitian community, it's worth it. because those
Okay.
5 years, you
Okay.
don't get those 5 years back.
That's solid. That's solid. So you also mentioned your business. Tell us about that.
So I have a private practice, Ivy
Yeah.
Behavioral Institute. Myself and Dr. Fahima Abdul Ghani are actually the directors of IBI. And Fahima and I actually met here in South Florida. We were both therapists on the same case. So we started our career in behavior analysis together, and we
Okay.
both actually completed the master's and doctoral behavior analysis program at Columbia University. So it's pretty cool in that we have the same training. But right now we are focusing on consulting. So we provide
Okay.
consultation services as well as trainings. We provide trainings for different behavior analysis companies for their registered behavior technicians, as well as their BCBAs. Those are board certified behavior analysts. Both Fahima and I specialize in what's called CABAS, the comprehensive application of behavior analysis to schooling. And CABAS has what's called the verbal behavior development theory, and that's called VBDT. And so we've used this knowledge, or our goal is to share this knowledge with other behavioral companies who might not have knowledge of this developmental theory. And essentially, it looks at both typical and atypically developing individuals, and it
Yeah.
pinpoints these milestones or these custom capabilities that we believe are necessary for an individual to be what we call truly verbal. So as one of the very few CABAS members here in South Florida, we work together to disseminate the
Okay.
CABAS
Okay.
model.
And that's great. That goes back to the previous question of creating awareness in the community. The more firms you consult with, the more the information disseminates, like you said, and the more people in the community get aware of it. So that's great work.
Absolutely.
So the title of the show being The Pathway, we talk to professionals like yourself and just ask them the path they took to success to get to where they are right now. So what would you say is the pathway to success in your particular field?
In my particular field, okay.
Yeah.
I definitely believe in practice. The
Okay.
BACB, which is our regulatory board, the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, their requirements make it such that you are able to almost immediately bridge theory to practice.
Okay.
So as I was learning about behavior analysis, I was practicing behavior analysis. And the
Okay.
cybernetic CABA system allowed me to essentially see what I was doing in class and seeing that effect that it had on the individuals. So what I say to all students, even prospective students, is do an observation. Check out a day in the life of a BCBA. See what we're actually doing on the ground. I can explain as
Okay.
much as, I mean, until the cows moo, but until you actually see it for yourself, you don't truly know if that's what you want to do. And you have
That's
to
great.
want to do it, especially if
Yeah.
you're working with kids. Kids can tell if you don't like kids.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
really something that can be taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
But outside of that, we have organizational behavior management. If you don't want to work with kids, I know some BCBAs who are horse trainers, because, like I said, behavior analysis exists everywhere. It
It's
has its place.
everywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the BACB has made it such that you can add ABA to any discipline. So they're not requiring you to have a master's degree in behavior analysis. You could be a speech language pathologist who's also a
Okay.
board certified behavior analyst. I'm
Okay.
a New York State, New Jersey State certified teacher, preschool
Okay.
through grade 6, and a board certified behavior analyst. So they've made it such that you can use your knowledge of behavior towards any discipline.
Okay. Okay. So you're an educator, all through,
Yes,
grade school and
through and
now
through,
university. Okay. That's great. So
through and through.
what would you say is the importance of education to success in a student's on a child's life,
In a
on a
child's
person's life, actually?
person's life. I know that
Yeah.
several people have various paths in the path
Okay.
to success. For me, it was always education. I always knew that I wanted to go as far as I possibly could within my education.
Okay. Mhm.
When I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I remember my dad saying to me, Amy, it doesn't matter what you become, which is not typical in a Haitian household. In a Haitian
Yeah.
household,
Nigerian
you got
households.
3
Yeah. Very
options.
similar. Hmm. Hmm.
You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, or you can be a nurse. That's about it. Did I miss one?
Yeah.
Doctor, lawyer, nurse, right? Um,
Yeah.
so for my dad to say I could be whatever I want, I said, whoa, it's like, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
if you're going to be a musician, you need to be Mozart.
Okay.
If you're going to be a painter, you need to be Picasso. And so I
Competitive,
took
yeah.
it as whatever it is that I choose, I have to be the best at it. So I always knew that I wanted to go as far as to receive my doctorate in behavior analysis. So education has been fundamental to me. I mean, I can't stay away from the classroom, as you can see.
Yeah.
A lot of my work right now is focused on training future analysts. So
Okay.
running the concentrations at Nova Southeastern University, I'm devoted to training up these analysts who are making these socially significant changes, not just in the South Florida area, because our concentrations are offered online, but throughout the United States. So education is crucial. And that is the pathway that I chose. And it was really the only one that was right for me.
Okay, awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Just in closing, do you have any words of advice for our listeners? You know, maybe young students in grade school or adults in university, college. Any word of advice?
Yes, you like to put me on the spot here. I would say enjoy your journey, enjoy
Okay.
the path. And I say that because if you try and do the math and you match up, years and my age and such, I definitely took an accelerated path. And I don't regret it at all. I'd do it again. But what I would say is to enjoy the journey itself. Sometimes when you're rushed to
Okay.
get to the goal, to the finish line, you don't
Yeah.
actually enjoy that process, right? And so, of course, be goal driven, be purpose driven, focus on what it is that you want to do. But along the lines, build those experiences that you will need once you get to where you're going.
Wow. Yeah. Well, solid advice. We appreciate that. Check us out on YouTube, Okuma Foundation. Our website is Martin Orkuma Foundation. Facebook, Instagram. Just watch the videos, follow us, and we hope to grow the audience. And hopefully, we'll bring you back, to talk more detail about your particular work. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Thank you, and bye.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.